we're gradually moving back to opening schools and businesses and, of course, our in-person interactions, I want to remind you, this is all time with cold and flu season getting going. Staying hydrated is key to helping your body deal with the added stress and with the upcoming flu season. My regular fans have heard me talk about a product called Hydrolyte for a long time now. It's an amazing rapid rehydration drink. It's a mix that, well, we're obsessed with here. I'm excited to announce they've just released Hydrolyte Plus Immunity just in time for cold and flu season. Hydrolyte Plus Immunity starts with their fast absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of immune boosting ingredients. Each single serve, easy pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 300 milligrams of elderberry extract, creates what is hopefully immune boosting formula that's high in antioxidants and zinc. Combining this with Hydrolyte's 7 key electrolytes, it's a fantastic way to stay proactive and properly hydrated. Hydrolyte Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy to pour powder sticks that rapidly dissolve in water and make a great tasting drink that has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all natural flavors and it is gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and it is vegan. And you can find Hydrolyte Plus by visiting hydrolyte.com/Dr. Drew. Again, that's HYDRALYTE.com/DRDRW. And be sure to use our code Dr. Drew 25 at checkout for a special discount.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
We are, everyone. We got a very packed show today. We're a little earlier than usual. We appreciate you being here. We are going to start out. Where's Raj? Here we go. With with
I
Raja
hate
Dhir.
paper.
He is a life sciences entrepreneur and co-founder and CEO of Seed Health. This is the product that I represent here and take myself. Susan is very anxious that I should point out that this is the travel version, and she's going to dovetail this show into some travel expertise. We have the points guy coming in here to talk about what travel is going to be like in the age of...
And everybody needs to bring your seed.
Right, certainly you do. The post-COVID era, and we're going to talk about that. But Raja Dhir is... just to remind you, CEO and co-founder of the Seed Health, a microbial sciences company pioneering in the application of bacteria for both human and planetary health. He leads Seed's R&D, academic collaborations, technology development, clinical trial design, supply chain, intellectual property strategy. So we're going to talk a little bit about gut health, which is a very, very hot topic.
A lot of people want to know about it.
It's a hot topic. And before I start, though, I want to thank Alex Michelson for giving me my Dr. Fauci bobblehead, which is now a cherished possession. As you know, I've been, since the beginning of this 1 year ago, in February, I was saying, let this be your North Star. So he should have been so. I understand you have mixed feelings about him. I understand. But I'm telling you, if you would just follow my advice in the beginning, you'd be just about in the right place. He didn't recommend school closures. He didn't recommend business closures. All the things that made you crazy.
Okay, let's get to the guest.
Come from
okay,
him.
let's get to the guest.
All right, let's get to our guest. Raja Dhir, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. It's I love talking about bacteria and the gut microbiome. So
good, because it's a topic that I think everyone has an increased level of awareness that it's an issue. Everyone is aware that gut health is something that we expect in the future people will be sort of dialing in a much more specific way as it pertains to a whole range of medical conditions. But what they may not know is the things you can be doing now, and that's what I want to talk about. So where would you like to start this conversation? I'm going to toss to you first.
Yeah, well, first, I think to start with some foundational knowledge, the idea of the gut microbiome is now not that new anymore, but for some people, they may still be just hearing of the terminology. And basically, it's the entire collection of microorganisms that live in and on the human body. They make up about 1-to-1 human cells to microbial cells. And so you're about 50% human and 50% microbial by cell count. And, we used to think that they were just responsible for maybe helping a little bit with digestion or were bystanders in human health and a lot of biological processes. But now we know that they're actually involved in so many different areas of our health and so many different organ systems in the body. And so it's a very new field in science that has a lot of exciting potential. In terms of what I think, usually where I start with recommendations on what people could do is, the American Gut Project and Human Microbiome Project Part 2, they really set out to answer the question about what is a healthy microbiome, right? Like what is the composition in you that's different from someone else, and is that better, is that worse, or are there things you can do to optimize it? And if you hear anybody say, oh, we'll take this diagnostic test and we'll tell you about if you have a healthy gut microbiome or not, the science really isn't there. And so a lot of that stuff is ahead of where the science is today. But what we can say is that a diet that contains 30 or more distinct inputs, right, preferentially different fruits and vegetables, is most associated with having a diverse and resilient gut microbiome.
Just define what you mean by 30 inputs. In other words,
so maybe for like, if you just eat blueberries every day for breakfast, try switching it up with as many different types of berries as you can, or cycle them in any given week. And so distinct foods, even if they're in the same food species.
Got it.
So, you know, for people that are maybe a little bit more creatures of habit out there, that was something which is new for me. I mean, I used to think, you know, pound for pound, blueberries are one of the lowest sugar, highest nutrition fruits that you can get. So I would just eat blueberries every morning. And, you know, now that we see that a lot of different plants have a lot of different phytonutrients that are modified by the gut microbiome in very different ways. And so, whenever in doubt, err on the side of diversity.
Got it. And so I love what you're already saying in terms of these diagnostic tests and making, you know, sweeping sort of categorical statements about gut health is a treacherous place. And yet, in spite of that, we do know there is a lot going on. So let's talk about gut brain, gut heart, that whole connection.
Yeah, I mean, it seems every year the total research base doubles in this field, and in very positive ways. And so I'll start with gut-brain axis just because it's something that people are very interested in, right? Like in the early 2000s, there were animal studies that show that when you sever the connection between the brain and the gut, that you both you can protect against gut-mediated disease progression for things like Parkinson's disease, but you also can stop the beneficial effects that the gut microbiome has in regulation of mood and anxiety. And, you know, there's a whole what's called biological crosstalk between these two different organ systems. And so I was very interested a couple of years ago in a study that came out and was published in a top journal called Nature Microbiology, on a very large study that they did with a cohort in Belgium. And it was over 1,000 people. And they found that when you took people that had major depressive disorder and you sequenced their gut microbiome and you controlled for the usage of even after controlling for the usage of antidepressants, you consistently found a loss of two different types or different classes of bacteria that are found in the gut that collectively produce hundreds of what's called neuroactive metabolites. And so this was a pretty groundbreaking study, at least when it first came out, because it says, hey, we now know that it's not just which bacteria are there or through communication through the vagus nerve, but actually they're producing thousands of compounds which cross the blood-brain barrier and can increase or regulate your risk of something like depression. So that was really a very interesting finding.
It is an interesting finding, but of course it always raises the issue, is this causational, is this incidental, or is this the result of the depression?
Exactly. I'm very glad you brought that up, and I usually stand on a soapbox on this, and even with a lot of papers that have come out recently on like microbiome and COVID or microbiome and neurodegenerative disease, you always have to say, is an underlying issue causing the change in the microbiome, or is the microbiome driving the severity of that condition? And so until there's randomized controlled intervention trials testing this hypothesis, this can be nothing more than an interesting advancement in the field. And I always caution people on that. Be careful of things that start saying, well, if you take this probiotic, you'll have cognitive effects. No one's shown that convincingly yet for a lot of psychiatric and neurological conditions.
And you blew past the vagus very quickly there. I'm wondering if there's more information to be discussed. The is there a gut microbiome vagus connection?
Yeah, I mean, the nervous system is always something which is it's hard to piece apart from the rest. But in some of these early animal studies, if you just sever that connection, you start to have very dramatic and noticeable shifts in both organ systems. And so, at least based on this type of early research, we can say there's absolutely a very relevant connection between the microbiome and how the vagus nerve signals to the brain.
Yeah, the mechanism, the vagus has become increasingly important in the sort of understanding of many mental health processes. And there clearly is a vagus gut interaction of some type. And I would imagine the microbiome's got to be part of the whole system. And we have no idea yet how the vagus really processes information out of here. But I'm glad people are looking at it.
And it's not just it's not just the bacteria themselves or what organisms are present in your gut. I really want people to remember that. So you can't just say, because you have or don't have these bacteria, that's quote good or that's quote bad. These bacteria have evolved over millions of years to perform very different and redundant functionality inside their host. That's us, right? So after soil, the human gut is one of the densest microbial populations on Earth. And so there's a very intimate relationship between this. It's an ecology, and it truly acts like an ecosystem. And so you can't just say, well, if I might have a bacteria that performs a function in me, and you might have a different bacteria that performs that same function or the absence of, right?
Yeah.
So that's that focus on end effects, not just what's there, not just what you find in your stool, but really how it's communicating with your system is very important. And actually where we're heading is even beyond the organisms themselves. So a very recent study that just came out in a top journal called Science actually looked at the gut microbiome as one part of that equation. So they said, okay, if you just look at the gut bacteria alone, maybe we can predict 60% of people that have depression just by sequencing their stool.
Oh,
which is still pretty good.
Hey.
But when you then look for this, and this in their blood and combine it into a combinatorial panel, you can now predict 95%. And so microbiome is incredibly important. It is one data point, but as we start to think about decoding the human body, you have to know what these organisms are doing, and it's a whole systems approach that you have to keep that into context.
And where can they go to learn more?
I mean, I'll give people 2 or 3 different places. So if you're very have a scientific background, you're really inclined, obviously, you know that putting a ticker for microbiome on journals like Cell, Science, Nature Microbiology, you'll get a lot of interesting information, at least 1 or 2 new studies per week.
I have the link. I have the link to the biome, to the BMJ journals. I have the link to.
Okay, let's put it on the restream.
I have all the links you sent.
Let's put it on the restream.
Oh,
can we?
Geez. Yeah, I'll put it up.
And do me a favor. Talk to me for a minute about the Stimulator, the human intestinal microbiome ecosystem.
Well, this is really cool. I mean, people think that the gut, because you can control what goes in and you see what comes out, is actually very accessible, but it's not true. I mean, the gut is a very you want the pH to be in a very tightly defined, somewhat acidic range in the small intestine and colon, right? You want your stomach to be consistently effective in acid production that kills off bacteria. Otherwise, you could drink contaminated water and that would poison your system. And so it's a very controlled system that, outside of doing very invasive punch biopsying in extreme clinical trials, is very hard to reach. And so we're kind of stuck on what comes out on either end. This is where the Chyme comes in. The Chyme was a system that was developed at a university in Belgium, and it was originally developed as a pharmacology tool that has built different systems and chambers of the 5 different stages of the gastrointestinal tract, and is built a responsive system. So based on what you put in, there's a certain amount of digestive enzymes that are released, bile salts, there's stomach acid that's regulated at different pH based on whether it's simulating a fed or an empty state. There's a mucosal layer of intestinal cells that's adhered to the wall of the small intestines, and there's actually a human microbiome representative microbiome of the whole human microbiome transplanted in the colon. And so this is a very fascinating system that you can use to test different hypotheses over and over again, measure things like how a pill or a capsule can survive, and how the bacterial release profile that happens in the system. We love this tool because it's a third-party system that's spun out of academia that we actually use to develop a precision release system for our probiotics to make sure that you get 100% release of these bacteria in the upper small intestines. That's where you want it. That's where the majority of the immune cells are in the gastrointestinal tract. And so, you know, we really take pride in, I think, standard setting validation of and engineering aspects when it comes to important features of delivering a live organism or building a probiotic that has proven survivability, or just really making sure that your organisms have metabolic activity.
Yeah, do me a favor. Talk a little bit more about that as it pertains to seed, because that's what I like about your product. That to me, that's your hotspot.
Yeah, you know, we spent years validating strains from a strain bank that have a ton of different mechanisms by which they're beneficial. Things like producing short-chain fatty acids in the gut, or signaling to your gut barrier to increase the expression of what's called tight junction proteins that are involved in the regulation of the mucosal barrier.
So people commonly call that leaky gut, which is a very complicated topic. I'm glad you described it the way you do, but I just want to point it when you hear about leaky gut, that's what Raj is talking about.
Yeah, I hate the term.
Me too.
I think it's been just totally distorted.
Agreed.
Severe intestinal permeability is how it's called clinically, and that's a very severe breakdown of the system that results in like system-wide inflammatory responses.
That's right.
And so I try not to use that term.
Good.
But what we do know is that there's a cell that separates what's inside you to what's outside you. What's outside you being the lumen, or the gastrointestinal tract of the small intestines itself. And so, but for many people, they've typically used compounds like glutamine, because it's involved in the regulation of barrier cells. But other compounds like bacteria actually engage and stimulate that tight junction protein expression. And so it's a very different and distinct approach to really kind of taking care of that, the fidelity of that barrier.
Yeah, I've been on your product for a while now, and I'm going to plan to stay on it. It clearly is a superior product. Everyone's different in terms of managing their microbiome, so we're not saying one size fits all. It's just one thing and you're done. I, for instance, have to do a certain amount of bulk and psyllium and these kinds of things, but a good
it works for Drew
is always a really important thing for me. And
I'm a huge advocate of probiotics for my husband.
Well, I would argue, Susan,
we have this thing in our family. My daughter has it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Listen. Before it's not what Raj is talking about just yet.
I know, but whatever it is, it's working.
So, but that I have noticed I can tolerate. I think I've repopulated some sort of enzyme function on my small bowel, particularly, in that I can tolerate onions and green onions, which I could not tolerate, and I'd lost that.
How was that spaghetti sauce last night with the garlic and the onion in it?
No, nothing.
Somebody gave him
is usually that's a bad night.
Yeah, so I want the boys to try it too, and Paulina as well.
Right.
So what you're describing is people with severe GI distress. They're put on a Fodmap diet where you eliminate all fructose, oligo, and five basically carbohydrates with a degree polymerization greater than 5. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Your bacteria wreak havoc. You can't digest it. You don't have the right gut microbiome to break those down, and the byproducts of the organisms that do try to break it down results in some funky stuff. And so that functionality is absolutely critical, and it is a key component of the role that your microbiome plays to be able to tolerate everything, even stepping in on areas that the body's intolerant, like lactose. So there's a wide range of cleanup functions that having a good colonic microbiota can play for you.
Okay, you just described your son who's been going through this for the last year.
Did I not put him on this, or he just?
He hasn't. He's finishing another one. He wants to try it. And
okay, good. And he had a actual medically significant bacterial overgrowth from repeated episodes of the norovirus, and then antibiotics that followed, and then boom, he was out of whack for quite some time.
A year.
Yeah.
Now he found out he's lactose intolerant too.
Well, let's get him on the seed. Seriously, the fact that we have it is sort of.
I have to ask him how the tomato sauce was last night.
Okay.
Every day I have to ask him, well, how did it do? Because I can't cook with any spices.
Well, let's just get him on this quickly.
Listen, I want to tell everybody that the Pinsky gene has problems. The Sailor gene, that's me, no problems. I can eat anything.
I know. I have established and repeatedly pointed out that you are a superior biological
agent. When I had
There's
triplets,
no doubt about that.
Okay, Raja, I had triplets, okay? And when they came out, they were all on soy milk. And my daughter, you could tell, had the Pinsky gene, like from the minute she was born. It's a biological thing. She still has it to this day, and it's just amazing to see the difference, you know.
Well, and the point Raja is making is you can adjust these things.
I know. So. I'm going to send some to her too.
All right, good. You have an upcoming product, PDS-08, is that right?
That's right. It's short for Pediatric Daily Symbiotic. It's a formulation that we've been working on with a lot of gastroenterologists and pediatricians, as well as our classic microbiologists. And very interesting. Just to speak a little bit about it, I mean, a lot of this stuff's not public yet, but the two of the strains in our product there are we tested them in a 400-person clinical trial for reduction of severity of response in terms of airway allergens, everything from environmental dirts to pollens to and severity of crises. And so though we can't, I think, represent that this would be a treatment for anything of the sort, I think it's extremely interesting to show the relationship between the gut and other axes like the lung and airway response. I think is extremely interesting. And so definitely any parents out there or any children that have less than 5 regular weekly bowel movements may want to try this out and see if it can be beneficial.
Yeah, I really think there's sort of no downside to this, to trying to adjust the microbiome, and some people will tell you it really makes a difference for them. And for me, I know I'm certainly one of those people.
And I love the packaging.
Yeah, the website is exceptional.
You've done a really good job with it.
And so, by the way, you can follow them on Instagram at @seed, on Twitter @seedhealth, Seed Health on Facebook, Seed Health on LinkedIn. And Raja, may I give out your personal stuff too?
I did already.
Okay. It's at Wild Raja on Instagram and Raja _Dhir, DHIR on LinkedIn.
We want you to be found. You're helping people.
You won't find anything about me on my personal Instagram other than stunning biological and evolutionary biology posts. So
I love it. I love it. I've talked to a lot of people over the years and about gut health, and peers that sort of let's say specialize in helping people adjust these things, and you clearly understand this landscape better than anybody I've spoken to, and it's no surprise to me that you're the one behind this product that I'm so happy with. So so congratulations, and I hope you won't be a stranger, because I can, as the science comes out, please send it my way. I'll report on it, and because people are very interested in it. They're interested in it. It seems like they get that there's something going on here, and they get that this is going to be an important part of their health, and they get that they should be paying attention to it in a way they may not be, and there's no downside to doing it for the most part. Though, let me just say, you did mention the Fodmap diet. Is there anyone that should be following that diet, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, I don't think that, look, this could be a whole discussion on fanaticism and
right.
nutrition.
Right.
You know, there's basically all a FODMAP diet is it's just an elimination diet of one type of thing, right? So there's some people that take that too far to the extreme where they start to become carnivores and say, I've never felt better. And it's like, well, that's not because you're eating a ton of meat. That's because you're not eating the thing that wasn't making you feel well. And so still to this day, I think that the most evidence-based diets are slightly modified versions of the Mediterranean diet, the Okinawan diet in Japan. And you see that associated with longevity, and you also see that associated with a diverse microbiome. And so I take a very moderate stance on diet. And I think that, you know, our obsession with optimizing every last side of it is usually an obsession that's to our detriment.
Right. I mean, we are designed with a generalized dentition and a generalized gut, and so to go too far one or the other is probably not what we're designed for. And finally, you have a investigational product underway. Did we talk about that yet?
Yeah. So actually, our probiotic DSO1, we got and we filed for an IND with the FDA to evaluate it in patients with IBS, and so that trial is ongoing right now at Beth Israel. It's a hospital at Harvard.
Great.
And you know, I think that IBS is such a challenging condition because it's so poorly defined, and typically there's so many factors at play, like diet, genetics, lifestyle, and the hope is here that you can have a biologically relevant change in the microbiome that can improve symptomology. So we'll keep you guys posted on that.
Love it, and would love to hear more as this goes along. Raj, is there anything else you'd like to review?
There were a couple of questions over here. Somebody said, why do you not have to refrigerate this one like most probiotics?
Okay, great question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so while any probiotic that's not in a metabolically active state, it more or less goes through the same manufacturing process. So whether it's refrigerated or not, it's the exact same process. The companies that tell you to refrigerate it is because they don't either have long stability that's substantive enough, or they don't want to include as much overage to the potency as probably because it costs them more money. And so they pass that burden on to the customer and say, well, just keep it in the fridge because that may extend the life of it a little bit longer. Now, the jury's still out on that because these organisms, they're also very resistant, not very resistant, they're very vulnerable to water activity. And so typically in more humid conditions like a refrigerator, as opposed to a cool, dry, dark area like a cabinet, you want to minimize water activity because that can cause the organisms to rehydrate and then become dead on arrival by the time that you take it. And so it's kind of it's a bit of a myth, but not really that refrigeration does help, but provided it's kept in a very intensive barrier to water activity. And usually that only becomes important from months 18 to months 36. And so the companies that ask you to refrigerate, usually if you look at the date of production, it's not very fresh. They want to make a product that lasts for 36 months. And so they try to get you to keep it in a refrigerator. But the process is a lyophilization process, and it's the exact same.
One more question. Is it available in Europe?
It is.
Because we have European people.
It's we send out a flat rate international shipping for the first month. And actually then if you sign up for our sustainable transport plan, we send you 3 months at a time, and you don't have to pay for shipping anymore.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
And somebody asked about oxalate metabolism. Now, that's a kind of a complex renal metabolism. Is anything with the microbiome and oxalate?
The microbiome is involved in oxalate metabolism, but it's a very, very specialized and different type of organism. I believe it's called Oxalobacter pharyngians or something of the sort, but it's not what... it is absolutely involved in it. If you have a specific, relative abundance of oxalate reducing organisms, then your tolerance for raw cruciferous foods that are high in oxalates, which of course are neutralized upon cooking, is a little bit better than those that aren't.
And if this person's getting stones, obviously avoid chocolate, tea, coffee, all that good stuff. I'm sure you've been coached up on that. Susan, they're saying that the drdrew.seed.com is not working.
drdrew.com/seed. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay. Put it up there again. It's drdrew.com/seed.
I'm going to play the ad as he leaves so you guys can all watch it.
Okay, people are interested in getting on seed, so let's let them
use
do
the
so.
promo code Dr. Drew at checkout.
You get it, what, how much, 10%, 20% off?
20%.
20% off. It's a good deal. All right, Raja, thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. We hope you'll come back. It's a really good update, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness. And again, I'm a fan of the product, so we do appreciate being part of this.
No, we really do.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Have a great day.
See you soon. That is Raja Dhir. Again, I gave you all his particulars.
We're going to play his ad, and we're going to bring on
Brian
Kelly.
The points guy, after a minute. I've struggled with various digestive issues over the years, so gut health is extremely important to me. Now, while gut health awareness has increased, it has led to a wellness trend that inspired a host of kind of questionable marketing claims and even false claims. You've seen the word probiotic attached to all kinds of supplements, drinks, and more, and they may claim to deliver the healthy microorganisms our guts need for proper function, but all too often the promises are really too good to be true. Thankfully, I became aware of a company called Seed and their flagship product, the Daily Symbiotic. That's right. Seed's Daily Symbiotic offers 24 clinically researched strains of microorganisms in a single dose. These strains support gut, skin, and heart health and promotes regularity, sometimes within as little as 24 to 48 hours. To me, what really sets Seed's Daily Symbiotic apart is its delivery system. This is my supply. While some products may offer the right strains, they are fragile and they rarely survive the trip through your gut. Seed uses a capsule-in-capsule design that helps ensure that 100% of the probiotics reach your colon where they matter most. Now, I've been taking Seed's Daily Symbiotic, and I encourage you to check out their story and the science behind what they do. To try it for yourself, just go to seed.com/Dr. Drew. Use code Dr. Drew for 20% off your first month of Daily Symbiotic. That is seed.com/Dr. Drew. Use code DRDREW, Dr. Drew. We are.
All right,
So
we're back.
thank you
We're
for
back
that.
with. Look at that cute little thing there. Okay, so
what cute little thing.
that little seed thing. We have an interactive one now. I'm so excited. I worked hard on this.
I'm sorry. I don't.
So-
Is this something I should see?
Okay, so that voice behind us?
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of this particular person. I don't know him. I've never met him, but he's the points guy. And hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Brian
How's it
Kelly.
going?
Brian, hey, welcome, my friend.
Oh, wait, go to the other camera,
Okay,
baby.
Brian is the founder and CEO of The Points Guy, TPG, and as Susan said, she is acolyte isn't a strong enough word.
Every day I get an email from him. I can't wait to open it.
Yeah, she is. She goes,
I
oh,
don't
look
put it in,
at this. Look
I
at
don't
you
put
never
it
believe
in
it.
spam.
Yeah. So, and to fully, I mean, Susan was a travel professional for quite some time and has an exquisite skill with travel. And so she kind of knows
Oh my
when
God,
she's getting good information.
you and I were separated at birth.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
whatever. Your team is amazing.
It's funny. I got an email with the 11 things. Susan sent me a text with the 11 things you got to do before traveling, and I thought, oh yeah, Susan does all those in her sleep. That's for sure. She wakes up, she's done those 11 things.
You
every
didn't even
day.
know what I do.
I do know. So let me tell you more about the Points Guy. Kelly launched TPG in 2010. He developed that time he's a Wall Street road warrior. He developed a keen sense for maximizing travel and minimizing spending. Since then, it's grown to a powerhouse travel and lifestyle media platform. And a lot of great editors and freelancers and all over the globe stuff. And I kid you not, this is a website that Susan frequents on a regular basis. So yeah, every day.
I click on it too. You probably see me there.
So let me start with.
You know what else? He's Czech.
Oh, Czechoslovakian, which is Susan's thing too.
Are you Czech?
Am I Czech?
Yeah.
No, like check the nationality?
Yeah, I thought
Czech
you
Republic.
were. Somebody told
No,
me.
Irish, like Irish German.
Ah, damn. Okay, I was wrong.
So that German part may bleed into the Czech thing.
But you have been to Prague, I'm sure.
Actually, it's funny enough. It's one of the few European capitals I have not been to.
What?
Susan, do your research. So,
Where did I hear
But
that
you will go. You trust me, you'll go. It's great.
Well, there's
city.
a Czech guy that writes for you that I think is.
Yeah.
You think it's what?
I think I read somebody else's. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So I'm going to
making a-
read Susan's mind, and I'm going to sort of frame a question to start with, Brian, that she's been sort of roiling with for a while, which sort of goes under the category of why aren't they helping us understand how we move forward if we've been vaccinated, if we've had the illness, if we have immunity? Why are we subjected, as somebody who's relatively immune, subjected to so much that doesn't make sense given our vaccine status or our immune status?
I mean, I can't agree with you more. I mean, I think we need to be clearer and realistic. People, have been cooped up, and I think fear has been the main message in media. And that's why
my God, yes.
The Point Sky, we've been all about safe, responsible travel from the beginning, totally understanding that a lot of people can't travel due to their own personal circumstances. But, I think it is a missed opportunity now to not get people excited to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
We did a survey recently, and 50% of people said that one of the key reasons why they want to get the vaccine is that so they can travel freely again.
Yes.
So,
see their grandkids and go to dinner and why can't we be excited about this vaccine and the enthusiasm? Even yesterday in President Biden's address, he's like, I thought it was great when he said, by July 4th, you'll be able to go to barbecues, and that'll be the day to move about in small crowds. And I was like, oh, just leave that out. Why do you have to throw that in there?
Yeah.
Yet every single person who wants it will be able to be vaccinated now by May 1. And we know the vaccines are, I hate it when I see the vaccine only 66% effective. I'm like, that's ridiculous. It's 100% against hospitalization and death.
Right.
Like, why are we not leading with that?
Right.
COVID is a yearly thing that you get, sniffles and no one dies. And that's effective in my opinion.
Exactly. So you get a little sick. What are you going to do? You get a runny nose? You're going to cry? I'm still going on vacation. Sorry.
Well, that's to the next point, which is that to travel for pleasure is somehow the opposite of virtue signaling. It's being irresponsible.
Well, all I'll say, so I'm coming to you now from the British Virgin Islands. It's really amazing how I went to the baths at Virgin Gorda today, which are normally packed with people, and I was the only person there on a Friday in March, which was very nice for me, but it's devastating. And I've been talking to taxi drivers. I've traveled quite a bit over the last year, and people have been devastated by COVID, especially in hospitality. So I think, we need a more positive message, and we also need to support those who, in the travel industry, which is 10% of all jobs globally, that's been decimated.
Yeah.
Wow,
I think we need a little bit
10%.
of optimism, and to help so many people have been,
I was really preoccupied during the dark days of the lockdown, just thinking about Disneyland and all the businesses around Disneyland. To me, that was like too much. It's like the people's lives were just
that's our
just
local
destroyed.
destination.
But it just was a symbol for me of how the government didn't seem to care about the lives they were just destroying.
It's true.
Anyway, but to your point, Brian.
Well,
so,
that's why you want to run for governor, right, Drew?
I've contemplated that. Be careful what you say. Last time I said I was
Casey's going to make a GoFundMe.
Last time I said I was contemplating running against Adam Schiff, it became a national story. So, yes, if somebody would like to show me the road to governorship, make it easy, perhaps I would consider it, because I know exactly what to do. Everybody, I know exactly what to do for homeless. I know exactly how to make a risk-reward analysis, which
but we also
seems
know
like
how to get on a plane and
our
go to
government
Europe.
does not seem to
So
know how to do.
when can we go, Brian?
Well, you can travel now. Actually, just yesterday, I think nearly 1.5 million people traveled, and that's compared to 1.7 million a year ago. So it's been the closest day that we've had. Still, down from the 2 millions we were at pre-pandemic, but people are traveling.
Yes.
And it is safe to travel.
Is Europe opening up at all? Because I saw the list on your website today, and it was only listing more of the, British or the Caribbean.
It's still tricky, right? Even now, I'm in the British Virgin Islands, and they've got really strict. You have to quarantine for like 4 days when you arrive, albeit you can go to the beach, and it's not really that strict of a quarantine. Mm-hmm. So most countries still have some sort of quarantine, but within the next month or so, I suspect a lot of the European countries are going to come out with guidance. Specifically Greece, Spain. I expect Israel soon to open up tourism, especially to those who have received their vaccines.
I'm feeling Greece, Drew.
Okay.
So, I have another question. If you've been vaccinated, can you get a shorter quarantine?
No quarantine in most of those countries too, right?
Yes. So what the countries are saying is you don't have to have a vaccine, but in Greece's example, they're saying if you have the vaccine and it's certified, you'll be able to go without any of the annoying PCR tests and waiting and things like that. Seychelles, Lebanon, Iceland, they're all coming out with vaccine programs where if you have one of the approved vaccines, you can go seamlessly to these countries.
Is that through
even
the
the state
IATA?
of New York now is saying if you have the vaccine, although this annoys me about the state of New York, if you have the vaccine, but only within 90 days, you don't have to quarantine, meaning to me, that's like the New York State is saying, well, the vaccine's only good for 90 days, which is yet another message saying to people that, it's not effective, which it in fact is.
Okay, that's ridiculous, Drew.
So I don't understand. So what?
So you can, if you've had a vaccine outside of 90 days, you have to quarantine.
Outside of 90 days,
The New York State has, if you travel
So
to
the reason for that is that's all they've they've proven that there's no asymptomatic spread within a 90-day window. They haven't proven that there's no asymptomatic spread after that.
Therefore, let's go with, but once again, sending that mixed message that these vaccines might only be
okay.
good
So this would be, I'm going to use my travel agent hat right now, Brian.
Yeah.
I have 20 years experience.
Yeah. I'm going to sit back because I really want you to do this interview because Brian, she was very excited about this.
Fly through New Jersey.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, the state of New York has some pretty strict guidelines. PA, New Jersey, different states have much easier restrictions. And at the end of the day, these recommended quarantines are essentially unenforceable.
Yes.
The state of New York might text you or something, but it's really, I don't know many people that, there's
that respond to it.
Troopers on the state line of New Jersey and PA and New York.
Well, apparently there is. Apparently they actually
My
do
son
have
got
national.
dinged.
Yeah, at one point I don't know if that's still true, but the Kennedy had National Guard checking people through.
Yeah, they really.
That's
make
why
you
we go
nervous.
into Newark.
Well, all the honest
Period.
people, like if you're really honest, you're in trouble because my son got off the plane in Newark and I forgot to tell him, don't fill out any forms that say that you're going to New York. And somebody walked up and said, "Is anybody here going to New York?" And he raised his hand, and then he had to go get a COVID test. He got tracked. He got a text every day, "You better be quarantined or we're going to come get you." And he was
Cost
a
him
nervous
$400
wreck.
going to the ER
He was
too, and
nervous.
they wondered why he was there because he was exposing people.
I wouldn't want to tell my kids to lie, but I said sometimes you just pretend like you're deaf, like just keep walking, just keep walking.
Well, I definitely recommend people follow the rules, but
Yeah, I do
hopefully they're
too.
becoming much.
Right, I agree. So if I run for
that.
governor, that's not my wife that's running for governor.
Well,
she's a rebel.
We have an apartment in New York, and nobody's been there forever. He was by himself. He was quarantined. He was working from there. It wasn't like, but he had to go get a COVID test, and so he could leave the house and go to the museum. And it was just he's 28 years old. It just was really.
Yeah, it's interesting. The state, some of the states like New York who have the most of these strict rules also have rates higher than a lot of the states like Florida that don't have them. So I'm not sure.
Isn't that interesting?
And I'm not trying to make you feel nervous, Brian, but I want to get out of here. I'm old and I'm ready to get out of here.
I think the good thing is you can travel, and hopefully within the next couple months, if you get a vaccine, you'll be able to travel much more seamlessly abroad.
Yes, true.
Is there any talk in the travel agency industry about these the new variants, so to speak? I understand Brazil's having a little problem right now.
Brazil's it's real tough right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the variants could throw a curveball. So that's why, I mean, the CDC is being overly cautious so that everyone's not just out partying in the streets. The variants are obviously highly transmissible. Mm-hmm. What I recommend, though, for people, if you want to book, I think for your mental health, and Susan, I hear it in your voice, you just want to have a trip booked. Right. And there is science that states when you book a trip, it can increase your mental health, your immune system. So
and then they canceled it.
This is what I recommend.
They canceled it though, but Brian, they canceled it, which threw us back into depression.
I want everybody to understand that Brian and I we're separated at birth.
I get it.
I want to help people's mental health with travel.
I get it.
And
but there's actually a lot of silver linings from the pandemic. Almost every airline has, they now have no change fees, meaning, you used to have to pay $150, $200 plus the fare difference. Now you can change for free. But the best part, as the points guy, is that almost every loyalty program now will let you book a trip and get all your points or miles back and your cash. So essentially, instead of, if you want to cancel a trip that you paid for, you're going to get a voucher.
I know. Isn't that great?
Listen,
better than nothing. It's great. But when you use points or miles, you get all of them back and all taxes and fees. So it's like buying a fully refundable ticket. So you're out zero cash.
Well,
so
I want to make a pitch. She was reading me something off of Windstar's cruise line, and they said if they have to cancel, they'll give you 125% back
towards your next trip.
So that's like in a very short period of time, a 25% return. I told her, great.
Okay, so
that's worth the risk.
So I want to tell everybody that my husband and I have been married 30 years, and we're going to go somewhere we were going to go in May, but we booked a 8-night cruise and a weekend Santorini, and we were going to end up in, take the Croatian coast. We booked the whole thing, made the deposit, booked all the tickets, half with money, half with miles, and they canceled the cruise. So I called the airlines and they refunded everything. And you are absolutely right, Brian Kelly. There are no fees, and you can take a risk and you can book stuff. And even if it cancels, it changed our dates, and it was really disappointing. But I figure
No harm.
I'll use it.
Here's my tip for you. Last summer, Croatia was one of the few countries that would let Americans in with a negative test. So I went for 2 weeks, and you can charter your own boat, and they're so discounted now that it could be, I went with several friends, and we did 2 weeks along the Croatian
I thought about that.
And I cannot recommend Croatia enough. It's just
okay. So I need your people to send me the company that did that, because I want to set that up. Because we're rebooking it, and I haven't looked to see if my miles are back. But United has been a really good airline to deal with, because we're frequent flyers there, and also on American. All of them are really good.
United doesn't get enough credit. They were actually the first ones to come out with no change fees, which was major pro-consumer move. So got to give credit where it's due.
So my husband is the biggest workaholic on the earth. So when I have 2 weeks to go away somewhere, it's been 5 years since our 25th wedding anniversary.
Yep.
So and I'm trying to get all the deals, because I know they're out there with my miles and my money, and the price was amazing. But, I just want to encourage people to kind of investigate for, the spring and the summer if you've been vaccinated. Now, the other question is, do you have to have something hooked with your passport or the IATA to get on a plane, or can you just bring your card?
So you will. So it depends on the country. They're trying to create. So IATA, for those listening, is the association of all the airlines. They're trying to come up with one standardized format so that it's higher security. Right now, people forge negative COVID tests, and the agent at Newark Airport is not going to call your doctor and verify the results, as they have 200 other people to get on the plane. They're trying to create Verify or even Clear, which now helps you get through airports and stadiums. They're coming out with the COVID verifier. There's no one out there now, but they are working furiously behind the scenes. But if you get vaccinated, absolutely keep your paperwork, take pictures, have all the documentation. Worst case, and even if you travel and you get a negative COVID test, I'm old school, print it out. I traveled to Rwanda and Kenya this past December. Amazing, once again, because it was empty.
Oh my God.
And but you couldn't get into the airport in a lot of countries without your printed COVID test. So, you never know when your phone's going to die, or you can't get service at customs, and you're trying to pull up. So always print everything.
And you can't do a rapid test and show them. You have to have it in writing. So hopefully they'll have rapid tests where you can get it documented easier.
So let's drill that down a little bit. So the rapid antigen tests do not have value.
No.
Traveling, you have to get a PCR, and has to be
rapid. It just depends. This is why it's so confusing for people, because most countries you have to have a PCR test, not the rapid antigen. However, there are now rapid PCR tests that the U.S. allows. So if you go to any country and come back to the U.S., any American citizen, you'll be allowed in, but you have to have a negative test within 72 hours, and they are allowing rapid PCR.
That's
not
crazy.
Rapid antibody.
And where do you get them when you're coming back in?
So Marriott and Hyatt now at all their Caribbean resorts now have on-site testing.
Yeah.
Here, I'm leaving tomorrow from the British Virgin Islands. I had to go to a government clinic about 10 minutes away from the hotel and pay $70. So every hotel
vaccinated?
that you go to, the onus is on them if they want your business to help you get that PCR test.
I saw some of the airports have testing sites. Are those adequate for going out or coming back?
Funny enough, Express Spa, which was at every airport, get your quick 20-minute back massage. They are now, talk about a business pivot, they are now changing into rapid testing clinics.
That's brilliant.
PCR
you really got to look at the details of where you're going, because I know people who have traveled to Europe, landed in Frankfurt, and they turned them around because it fell outside the date. They were confused about the type. So
and if you don't have your papers, forget it.
Is that what if you've had the vaccine or you've had the illness? You still have to get a rapid PCR?
Depends. Right now, all throughout the Caribbean, you still need the PCR tests. And it's only a handful of countries like the Seychelles and Lebanon and some of the smaller countries that are now doing the vaccine passport. I expect within the next 30 to 60 days, the guidance on vaccine passports to open up dramatically and
All
to
right.
minimize quarantine times whenever you
And
travel.
what if you're immune? You have documented immunity with antibody profile,
Yeah.
and you
So
don't want to. You don't want to
Yeah,
take the
if
vaccine.
you've recently recovered from COVID, you can have your doctor write a note saying so in order to get back in the U.S. But
What about-
some countries? It's literally different by every single country. It really is pretty confusing.
What do you recommend? Is there just to get the vaccine? Screw it.
Yes.
I mean, I highly recommend if you want to travel
Yeah.
with ease, the vaccine is going to make that dramatically easier.
Did you get it, Brian?
I have not gotten it yet, but I will get it as soon as I'm able.
Yeah,
to
he's
get
not.
it.
He's not in a
Yeah,
category
you look
yet.
young. You look young. So.
So let me do, Susan. I know you have many more questions, but let me promote the
Well,
charity.
I just want to tell people that if you book a hotel, they will tell you whether or not they might even give you a COVID test with your Platinum American Express eventually. So you just have
that's
to call
interesting.
ahead and find out. Instead of getting free breakfast, you'll get a free COVID test or something.
Yeah, get this. Even in the Bahamas, the Rosewood and Baha Mar is now saying even if you get COVID, we'll send you home in a private jet medical evacuation flight. It's a little bit of a gimmick, but the hotels, definitely any good hotel should have a process in place so that you're not stressing out your whole trip about where to get a COVID test.
A couple of quick points to get across here. There's a new app. We'll talk about that, the Points Guy app, and a promotion on International Women's Day. Prize sweepstake with United. Again, back to more good vibes for United.
Oh yeah, let me find.
Kabawi Peace Foundation, Nobel Peace Prize winner.
You're gonna win some money and
Focuses on women's education, girls' education, leadership opportunities. Grand prize of the sweepstake is a million United mileage miles, plus a consultation with Brian to plan a trip of a lifetime with those miles. And for a minimum of a $10 donation, you can be entered to win 1 million miles. The prize, the campaign itself runs through Mother's Day. This sounds like a worthy campaign.
United miles too.
$10 to
a million United miles can get you and your whole family pretty much anywhere. And so I met Lema Bowie. She won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011 for helping end the civil war in Liberia. She brought together Christian and Muslim women. She's one of the most incredible people I know, and she does amazing work in West Africa, especially getting young girls quality education. So you can go to prizeo.com/thepointsguy, and it's $10 minimum entry, and the grand prize is 1 million miles. Plus,
Crazy.
I'll help you plan the trip of a lifetime.
Crazy.
So it's a win-win. You help girls get an education and the chance to win. The trip
We
of a
lost
lifetime.
him. What happened to him?
I think you just pushed him off the screen or something. Hang
there
on,
he is.
Brian.
Oh, sorry, Brian. There we go.
So I just can't see
I was
him.
cut and pasting, and I lost all the.
And tell us about the app.
Yeah, so using your frequent flyer miles, I've been doing it for half of my life, and it's a lot of knowledge that you kind of need to learn to speak the language. But at the Points Guy, we are launching in June our first ever TPG app that'll track all your points and help you use them. So if you want to use certain types of points to go on vacation, it will actually track your points, give you content, curated deals, and help you, use them to get the most value out of them.
So you go to the Apple App Store and just look up TPG.
Pointsguy.com.
Yeah, it'll just be the point. Yeah, and right
Sign
now
up.
we're going to be launching it in June, so it's more of just a heads up. You can go to the pointsguy.com/app. We already have a waiting list, and we'll email you as soon as it's ready.
I signed
But
up
it's gonna-
already.
I was going to say, I knew Susan would already be signed up. I knew it.
I'll get you into the beta right now.
I think you got me through COVID-19 dreariness. You kept the website going even though people couldn't travel, and I have a lot of points. I got a lot more points this year because I didn't travel, so I had enough to get Drew a free business class ticket round trip to Europe and back, and and then we have status because I guess if you use your Chase credit card you get status. I became a platinum United frequent flyer traveler, and my friends were like jealous because I get to sit in first class, but it's those miles are like they're worth a lot more than money sometimes. It was like a $4,000 ticket for Drew, and I got it for like like 150,000 miles or something. It was really
It's amazing. It's like a little high that you get whenever you use miles for that expensive ticket. And for people listening who are like, oh, I don't have time for frequent flyer miles, or I'm not a business traveler, therefore I can't get them. But the number one way is just getting the right credit cards. And all of the top credit card companies are coming out with insane offers on, whether it's Amex Platinum or Gold or the Chase Sapphire. There's a lot of really, really juicy deals. And we, of course, highlight all of them at thepointsguy.com.
And you have it all on your website.
We even have a beginner's guide. So for anyone out there who says, okay, maybe I want to dip my toes in this water, at the Points Guide, we've got a bunch of different guides tab, and then the beginner's guide will take you through. And it's always free to open up these loyalty programs. There's literally not a reason why you wouldn't want to collect miles and points, because they are like a currency.
My sons have been getting credit card offers for 70,000 miles if you spend like $3,000 and
Yep.
pay the bill. And
Delta now has some that are 90,000. We've seen some up to 125. So, with the economy about to roar back,
I've done that over the years.
companies-
I've done that about 5 times, and I've actually bought one for each one of my kids, or gotten them at a Platinum American Express for their miles. And I think Jordan flew all over Europe with the miles that he got 100,000 miles, I guess, just to use it for a year or so.
I will just say though, if you're going to get credit cards to get points, you have to pay them off in full. If you're paying interest on your balances,
it
you're negating the
immediately
value
goes
of all
away.
those miles.
Right.
The benefits
but
immediately go away.
You only have to pay off $3,000 in a certain period of time.
No, you must pay it off entirely,
No,
or
I
the
know, but
rates
you
will
don't need to
completely
spend-
erase everything you've just
But you don't need to
done.
spend $100,000 to get the 100,000 miles.
Right.
Yes.
So
What they want from you is the rate, the interest rate. They want you
Right.
not to pay it all,
No,
so
I
you
know,
get that
honey.
crazy rate of return.
I have 12 credit cards that we pay off every month, but I don't use all of them right now. It's
Funny enough, actually, the more credit cards you have open and the less credit that you use, your FICO score actually goes up.
I know,
That's one of the
mine's
things
higher
people
than
say,
his
"I
is."
Get a card, my score is going to go down. But actually, the more you pay your bills on time, you pay them off in full, the more available credit you have, and the less you're using, your utilization.
they can tell
decreases
you
as your
have
score goes up.
constraint. I do have better credit than my husband because I have all the credit cards.
That's a flex, Susan.
No.
So what would you say now is the biggest risk for travelers?
The biggest risk for travelers is if these variants spike back up and countries start to shut down again. That's, and the other risk is, okay, things are great in the US and Israel and the UK in terms of vaccine, but the rest of the world, especially developing countries, aren't going to get vaccines for a while. So, even though we're near the finish line, so we think in the US, we're a part of a global community, and travel by its nature is global. So let's all hope for, the vaccine production to get up in other countries as well, because until we're all vaccinated and have hopefully herd immunity, travel won't come back to where it was.
Is there much information out there about airplane transmission? I see the conversation go back and forth.
It's very, very low. I mean, there have been a couple cases on long haul flights of COVID transmission, and the one was an Emirates flight to New Zealand, and they actually stopped in Kuala Lumpur. And before we knew it, there was all this spread on the plane, and no one knew why, because the plane filtration systems, every 3 minutes, the entire plane is disinfected, essentially. The air is brought through these HEPA filters, same thing used in surgery.
And they're using
Lo and
UVC
behold,
on
they
them too.
stopped to refuel in Kuala Lumpur, and someone accidentally turned off the filtration system, which is why there was spread on that plane.
Oh boy.
But by and large, if you wear a mask on a plane, if you keep your mask on for the flight, I recommend don't eat unless you absolutely have to. Eat before you get to the airport, but
or unless you've been
being on a
vaccinated,
plane is much safer than a lot of other places across the U.S. where people aren't wearing masks or people haven't been tested, etc.
What's your prediction about when we start to really see things ramp up, and where? Let me ask. And where are people going to go? Do you think?
This summer will still be mostly domestic travel. I mean, I'm going to Miami at the end of the month, and it's flights out of New York for the last weekend of December or March already sold out. The hotel I want to stay, the W Hotel in Miami is $2,200 a night for a big room.
Oh my God!
Over that weekend.
I love the W.
But I have never. So luckily I use points for a massive value. But I've never seen the rates in Miami that high. Orlando, I was looking at taking my nieces and nephews over Easter. it was $2,000 a night for the Four Seasons Orlando, which is normally like, 600. So, U.S., Puerto Rico is very popular because you don't need to get tested to come back in because it's part of the U.S. So yeah, and once again this summer, RVs, camping. But I think 2022 will be the big year where everyone goes back to Europe. But I do think for people who are willing, I think some European countries will be open this summer.
Do you think, I started thinking about this as it pertains to, again, the amusement parks, which are allowed to have, 25 or 35% occupancy. This is the time to go to these things. So I'm wondering if you're seeing sort of a massive demand just by virtue of that phenomenon.
They might have like 50% occupancy.
Yeah.
Like, I know people, our Disney, my family travel, people have been to Disney multiple times. They say it's a breeze. It's, no waits for lines. You don't have to pay for the VIP, fast track. Everyone gets on a ride within 20, 25 minutes. Versus pre-pandemic when it was 6 hours, for whatever the new ride is. So, look, I'm in the BVI's right now and it's empty.
So
I
sad.
was in French Polynesia in September. I swam with the humpback whales in Moorea, which is a life experience I recommend to everyone. And it was, it's been an amazing year to travel if you're willing to take that risk. Even Croatia last summer, everyone goes for the Game of Thrones. In August, it's jam-packed to the gills, but I went and it was maybe 10% full. So I kind of had King's Landing to myself. So there are amazing travel experiences out there if you're willing to do a little bit of the research and make sure you follow all the rules for testing.
Right. Like, how do you find a private cruise in Croatia? Like, where did you find it?
Sorry, this thing is not I'm going to go into my room real quick because my battery
Is dying.
is about to die.
Oh, sorry. We didn't mean to keep you so long.
Oh, no, it's okay.
It's a beautiful place.
Oh, the Rosewood Little Dick's Bay is amazing.
Oh my God, you're killing me, Drew.
Yeah,
maybe we should just go
they
there
had
now.
just reopened. So they got the resort here. They remodeled it. It got hit by Irma, and they just redid it for 2 years, and then it reopened during COVID. So, but it's beautiful. I'm pretty much the only.
Yeah, the
person there.
Rosewood resorts are great.
Yeah,
Amazing.
but yeah, a lot of the and what I did last summer was I'll share the Croatian Gulet. That's a company for these beautiful Croatian ships you can charter, and you can play them off each other and get amazing deals. I think I paid about 40% of what the going rate would have been for a 6-bedroom, beautiful kind of old school Croatian yacht. So yeah, the deals are out there.
Okay, Drew.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
Whatever. I sort of.
Am I? Look at him. He's like he's.
No, you've asked all the questions, and if you have more,
Well,
please.
I know, like my I had flights into Greece and the ones I told you about, and they canceled too. So the flights canceled. So I think Europe is being a little stingy.
Here's my tip for you. I just booked Greece this summer. Emirates flies from Newark to Athens on their 777. Their first class is amazing, and it's only 75,000 points transferred from Amex.
Okay.
Well, guess what we're doing?
Okay.
Fly Emirates to Greece this summer.
Is Emirates a part of the United?
They're not, but yeah, and
Maybe
United does fly Newark,
or American?
Athens.
Yeah,
All
they
right,
do.
will you be
But
Susan's?
they canceled that one. I saw the Emirates was still
Will you
there.
be Susan's best friend so she can email you whenever she wants
Well,
to ask these questions?
listen. I have a travel computer. I work on a United travel computer, so I can see everything that's flying. But it's just the idea of where to go first and what's going to still be there when the time comes. Because if I wait till June and then things change, I'm gonna have to rebook everything.
That's why I say book now. If you have enough points, just book now. Because worst case, you can always just get the points back. Or change it.
I
There's
spent
no
like a
reason.
week booking that other one. I didn't have to do it again. But it's fine. I'll do it. It's worth it. I'm not going
It'll get
to.
your endorphins going.
But I do know some good news about New York. They just opened up banquets, and the city's opening up a lot today. Actually, I got.
You know what? It's interesting.
Nightclubs in April, right?
It's so interesting to me because New York is not doing very well from a case standpoint. I haven't checked the data. In a couple
but
of
I
days.
think they've just given up. They're just like
they're capitulating.
they're
to the
mad at Cuomo.
They're mad at Cuomo, and they're capitulating to the idea that lockdown maybe is not the answer.
Yeah.
And that maybe personal responsibility, and let people judge their risk for themselves, and allow the vaccinated and immune recovered
and the
to
young
move about at their whim based on the risk that they wish. Now the problem with that is, if these variants really do take hold and start to significantly influence people who are immunized or recovering, that's an issue. That's a problem. I don't want that.
Well, and also if you're flying, I'm going to go back to travel stuff because this is where my head goes immediately. Go through Newark.
I get you.
Or go through, or, if you're flying from LA and you need to make a hop over to whatever island or wherever you're going, then just don't do it through New York. Because
did you do Newark to Europe, or did you do
Newark,
JFK
yeah.
to Newark?
Newark to Athens.
So if we go to I think Brian's talking about a JFK flight. That means when we come back, we have to deal with all the quarantine and stuff.
Newark.
Yeah.
Emirates flies Newark after.
Oh,
No, it's Newark.
Wow.
Well,
Crazy.
and also, we also
Crazy.
live in New York, so we can say that we're gonna quarantine, and then
Right.
they don't
But I
like the
think
airlines
flying
don't
to
check.
JFK this summer, I think it's going to be a thing of the past. By this summer, with the immunizations and everything, I don't think they're going to have the National Guard troops trying
Right.
to even bother. Like,
Do you think there? We sort of opened this conversation talking about this kind of lack of consideration for people that are vaccinated or recovered. Do you think they're going to get more, I don't know, proactive with moving things forward because the population of vaccinated grows dramatically?
totally. I mean, and herd immunity too. I mean, most of, many New Yorkers already had the virus and have recovered. Plus, all the vaccinations. I know the state of Alaska now. One of my employees is flying there because everyone in Alaska has, is now open for vaccinations.
Right. That's right.
So, the tables are turning so quickly. I do think New York is going to be. I'm also a New Yorker, and I do see the signs of life returning, and the
although
rolling back,
I know.
so to speak.
Yes, God bless you. New Jersey now has 269 cases per 100,000 in the last 7 days. California is only 71. New York is 205 cases per 100,000. So New York and New Jersey are way off the California standard, which is interesting.
What is Florida?
It is 147. So it's sort of in between. Let's see, 147. Yeah, New York's
California really dropped off. I know they were spiked a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think the reason California, I think first of all we got scared, so we all changed our behavior. It was nasty. Secondly, the vaccine program just recently really kicked in, and I think that is they're finally doing what they're supposed to with the vaccines, and I think that's making the difference. I don't know, is New York aggressive with vaccine distribution?
They are, especially the J&J one now.
Yeah.
I know the Javits Center is a 24/7 site. They've got a bunch of other.
Oh, Susan, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go to Javits before we go across.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to do. So there you go. Well, Brian, listen, we've taken a lot of your time. I know Susan could just sit and chat with you for hours, but she's already in your brain, just so you know.
I know, but he's invigorated.
We're going to get along.
Oh yeah, because I always thought she was a savant, and I'd not met another one until you. and when it comes to travel, and when I read all the stuff you were recommending, I thought, oh yeah, that stuff. I know that I'm familiar with what you're talking about because Susan does that stuff before I get up.
Got a smart one.
Well, I dip into my miles every day, take a look around, like the stock market.
Yeah.
And
Susan, it's funny you say that. Our app, the main page, it's going to say your net worth in points. Track all your balances.
Get her, seriously, get her on. You should.
So
this
funny.
is humbly, I should tell you, you should get her on the beta, and trust me, she will be talking about it all the time.
No,
You know what I mean? If that's what you want.
It's in private beta now. I'm going to get.
Do you mind her talking about it? Because it will come up all the time if you don't mind.
Oh my God. It's like crack. It's like that. It's like, for me, it's like waking up in the morning. It's like having that 6 o'clock glass of wine. You know what I mean? It's like,
it gets her,
look,
it gets her high. And I always thought it was a little bit like there's a little antisocial flavor to it. Like, look what I'm getting away with. Look what I found.
Max, I mean, you're beating the airlines and the credit card companies. Two of the most reviled companies in the world. Then pay for your first class travel.
That's true. It's true, and it just
no other.
It's beautiful. And it's like, I guess for millennials, it's looking at Zillow. So, when you're old, you want to look at travel.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for taking the time out to endorse this, and
Yeah.
I just want people to feel like they can get back into society in one piece. And I don't know if any of our followers really care, because they've all got kids and they're just trying to get their kids back into school.
Right. The school thing is the other big deal.
But I'm telling you, this is going to be, the airlines are going to start taking off. The stocks are going to go up. They're going to start flying again. We're going to get to see our family in Prague, and we're going to get to do whatever again. So I'm looking forward to that. And you invigorated me.
Good times indeed. Well, thanks, Brian. And maybe I'm going to have to go to that Rosewood now because of what you've done today.
No, the Rosewood. Oh, they have such a great. Yes, honey.
Rosewood Little Dix Bay.
We might have to cut out a little week here or there and do it. So.
All right. Well, listen, Brian, thank you, and good luck with the new app. And anytime you want to come chat with us, we are here. So we appreciate it very much. I think this stuff, let me just say on parting that this adds to the quality of life. It really does. And we've all been restricted from all sorts of social interaction and engagement in the world. And we thought this was important to give some hope and talk about how to do this safely, properly, and what it's going to be like. So thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Take care.
You gotcha. And
I want everybody to take a look at that Fauci bobblehead. Show them the box. It's really cute.
This is the box that my partner. I'm stopping the Fox 11 program today. This is my last night there.
This camera now.
Yeah, and so
wrong camera.
This camera. This camera. You pointed at the other one.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry, I did.
Yeah. And my partner, Alex Michelson, who will continue as anchor of that show, the 7 o'clock news. I did for a year. It was a 2-week experiment that it was supposed to do it for 2 weeks, ended up doing it for 12 months, and it stops tonight. And this is the actual bobblehead of Dr. Fauci.
I think somebody just spoke to me in Czech. The road noch a schleckni any Susan.
Yeah, Royce.
Schnee schnuzen. I can't say it, but thank you. I think that's Czech.
Maybe.
I think it is.
Okay.
I'll let everybody say that.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, that was fun and interesting. A lot of good stuff today.
Well, it was fun. It was a break away from the usual, reality. So, see, there it is. I'm going to show you. I think it's Czech. I'm pretty sure. Because it's all a bunch of, let's see where to go. Here it is. Here it is. Do you see it?
I can't see anything. My screen completely went away.
Noka schlagni schneeschusen.
Yeah. I saw it. I saw it when it was on the stream.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with your travels, Susan. I don't know.
Czech, he says. Roy says.
What?
Who wrote it? Roy, who wrote that, says Ano Czech.
Yeah.
A-N-O Czech. I don't know what that means.
Thank you, Roy. Whatever it says.
It sounds.
I'll translate it later.
All right. Listen. We will be back, I believe, on Monday. Correct? Is that accurate?
They like your bobblehead.
If we might do something across the weekend, even because
he doesn't have a mask on. Anthony needs.
Oh, yeah. I kind of prefer it without the mask.
Oh God, that's
has he got
so funny.
Has he got a hearing aid or something? What's he got in his ear? This is very strange. Maybe that's just something? Oh yeah, it's just a piece of styrofoam. So okay.
I just want to know on the restream. Did you guys like hearing about that? I mean, we can. After COVID's over, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, Susan's looking to expand the topics we get into.
I was thinking about doing a travel podcast and have deals and work through my travel agency and.
Great.
But
I mean, or you could do it with me. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, you would.
But people are not responding. They're not telling us what they liked it or not. So.
Oh.
So.
Oh, it says good night and sweet dreams, Susan. Oh, that's sweet. That was what it said in Czech.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's late there, so good night.
They want more Susan on screen. It's good. I do too.
I haven't even showered today. Like, I haven't brushed
Molly liked the travel guide, so there you go.
Thank you, Molly. It's so hard to look good on. I think I like the idea of doing Clubhouse more because I don't have to do hair and makeup.
Right.
You just always look good. That's just the way you are.
Of course.
Oh, good. Joy likes it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Lacey says yes on the travel podcast.
Yeah, I really like this topic.
Well, you can always drop it in once a week or something. I mean, it's something we could do. But there's always stuff to talk about, guys. There's always stuff to talk about.
There's so many limitations of going on an airplane. Like, you can't take off your mask.
Well, and here's the reason
you have to be prepared for that.
There's a couple reasons I like you doing something like that. One is this is a moving target. This stuff is changing on a weekly basis, and it'd be great to update people. Number one, thanks, Tamara. She liked both guests. And number two, you want to go travel now, and so you're gonna have some expertise, some experiences that you can share. Like that idea of the Croatian thing. Whoever thought of that? That was crazy.
Well, I kind of looked into boats in Greece after I saw that our thing was canceled, but then my air canceled, so that was out of the question. But you know how
Chris join us.
How I got
it?
Yeah, I mean we could do a locals cruise.
That's a great idea. We should do that.
But when I got into this,
no, Susan, seriously, Corolla does that. We've been on the Corolla cruise before.
I know, but then you have to entertain everybody.
I don't mind. I think we should do that. If it's our locals group, it'd be great.
So can I explain my story of travel?
Please, sorry.
Okay, so when the kids were 3, I had just graduated from college and I wanted to go to law school, and I ended up having triplets instead. So about 2 or 3 years into it, I decided, I saw this little ad in the paper and it said, become a travel agent, 6 hours classes. So I broke away from the kids, and my poor father-in-law had a stroke, literally. And he's like, where are you going? And I was like, I have to take this travel class. I want to be a travel agent. And then I got the computer, and then I started working at this place called Cayley World Travel in the Valley. And I would drive out there once a week and print my tickets. And all my friends were buying airline tickets for me. And I got to sit on my computer and see the world through, like, where I could go. Like, and I was like living vicariously through people that wanted to do a trip here, 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 and here. And it's like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost, and this is what airline you're going to go on. And I book hotels for them. And I felt like I was like living outside my little world with my kids, and I made some money, but it was more of a hobby.
Well, it immediately changed the quality of our life because we were suddenly able to move around affordably and
and then I got travel agent discounts, so we could take our kids and get an extra room for the nanny to help us at night, so we could have 10 minutes apiece. And then, you know, we went to Hawaii, and we were at the what was the name of that place with the water, and it was such a cheap hotel in Maui, and it was like they had like they had a wine bar at night. You could go have wine and cheese, and it was all underwater, and it was next to the sewer plant.
Yeah, I kind of remember.
But it was so cheap because I got a travel agent.
Wiz Chris is offering a ship for the locals cruise, but you're going to have to stay on Lake Michigan. So we'll do a Lake Michigan. I'm sorry, Chris. She's laughing at your proposal. We'll do a Lake Michigan locals cruise.
Right. It would have to be like maybe something out of New Orleans or something. Go over the Bahamas.
Why? Let's go for it. Let's do a real
or Mexico.
Kind of whatever.
I mean, you know, nobody's gonna fly to Greece and do
let them decide.
$8,000 cruise.
That?
No, that's too expensive.
Yeah.
But
they're going to learn from you how to do it in a way that's, you know.
Well, since I'm getting free airline tickets, it's just
right.
But you know what? I'm obviously we do. This is a once in a lifetime for us to have our 30th wedding anniversary. So I don't feel guilty. I didn't get my 60th birthday because everything closed down. We were supposed to go somewhere. And I can't believe I'm already 61.
The COVID stole a year from us.
Yeah, but you know what? It's fine. It gave me more frequent flyer miles, so I'm getting more stuff for free. Lucky for you, Drew.
I know. Believe me.
We can buy a new gas range.
All right. Are we ready to go here? I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. So. Is that Seed finally getting through you?
No, not like that.
I just want to thank everybody over there at Seed. That was amazing. So thank you, Lacey, for helping us today. She is now officially going to be a part-time personal assistant for me.
Oh, excellent.
And she helped me with the Seed people. And thank you, Michelle Poe, for helping me with the travel guys, the points guy, and everybody who helped in this production today.
Okay. We'll see you guys maybe over the weekend, but certainly on Monday.
And here's another ad.
Thank you.
Make
support
sure
these guys. Support everybody. Get
whoever
the Seed.
it is, I haven't figured out who it is yet, but I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Blue Mike. Huh?
No, Halodyne.
Halodyne.
We're gonna take that
by
on
the way,
trip.
yeah, I should have brought that up to Brian. It would have been a good thing for him to know about.
I know. I forgot.
Ugh.
I told him I'd send him an I1 though.
So
this camera, sweetie.
Halodyne is this povidone solution that's been specially formulated to be able to knock the virus off your nasal passages and your back of your throat, so you can increase the efficacy of the mask. So take a look at this.
Yep.
This pandemic began, we were not sure how it spread. Everyone began wearing masks and using hand sanitizers, great ways to slow the spread. but a lot of people still get sick. I can personally attest to that. We now know that COVID-19 spreads via aerosols and droplets from the nose and mouth, and I've been thinking about this for a while. Why aren't we also sanitizing the nose and mouth, killing the virus directly at the place where it spreads? Why weren't more doctors thinking about this? Well, some doctors have done the research. Wish I discovered it sooner. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Halodyne. It's an FDA-registered antiseptic for the nose and mouth that's proven to eliminate 99.99% of the virus that causes COVID-19 in just 15 seconds. That's right. It's created by a team of clinicians with decades of experience in antiviral treatments, initially created to protect healthcare workers. These are smart scientists, and it's a great product that also eliminates many other viruses and infecting particles. I'm using both their nasal antiseptic swab and their oral spray to help protect those around me, and you should be too. For others and for yourself. Whether you're hopping on a 3-hour flight, always use it there, visiting grandparents, or attending a meeting that you can't miss, Halodyne's family of oral and nasal antiseptics give you the safe, easy, on-the-go antiviral protection for up to 4 hours. I encourage you to try Halodyne at halodyne.com today. My listeners get 10% off with the discount code Dr. Drew. That is HALODINE.com, discount code DRDREW. So obvious, it just makes sense. Stop the virus before it spreads and gets in your body with Halodyne.
Real talk.
Headlines have become sickening. They become poisonous.
Dissecting headlines.
Defying state orders. Sheriff Bianco not enforcing what the governor is saying.
Dialed in with decision makers.
Clarify what you actually meant.
Get the answers you need.
At the beginning of this, we were told don't wear a mask. Is this really helping?
Expect a different kind of newscast. Fox 11 News Special Report. Weeknights at 7.